2010. That was the year when arguably the worst amusement park disaster occurred. And just understand, I don't say that lightly. It's not like one person got injured or one person died. No, it was more like 6 people lost their lives, and there were 10 casualties on top of that. All because the ride vehicles actually collapsed to the ground, and an ensuing fire nearly killed 48 people. So, I'm gonna call it. Given the major details on what happened on the ride in question, I can say for certainty there is no worse amusement park accident, because no other ride can claim a higher tragedy or body count. But what ride am I exactly talking about? Well, it goes by the name of Space Journey, and it was meant to be an immersive simulation of the Apollo 11. You know, what it's like taking off into space, exploring the cosmos, grasping the moon once you land. But in actuality, the ride was more like the Challenger, considering it was very short-lived and ended in misery and woe. So let's see what happened on Space Journey on June 29th, 2010. To understand Space Journey, we first have to travel over to Shenzhen, China at OCT Eco Adventure. Eco Adventure is a major resort complex located just inside the Guangdong province. It was constructed between 2004 and 2007 and is comprised of 8 hotels and over a dozen restaurants. So, you know, it's your typical above-average resort. However, the main draw for Eco Adventure was the 3 theme parks that encompassed the complex. They consisted of Night Valley, Team Stream Resort Valley, and Wind Valley. But I have to say, however, despite the resort claiming they have quote-unquote 3 theme parks, they really only have 1. Night Valley is the only park where they have actual attractions. The other 2 are more viewing experiences, if that makes sense, as in you just look at the landscaping and the scenery. That doesn't really classify them as a theme park, more of a nature reserve, I would say. But that is what OTC claims, and I'm not gonna argue with that, but I'm not gonna say they have 4 theme parks. Even though the resort's trying to fudge the numbers on how much they have to offer, the location has one purpose: to provide entertainment and education. Since, according to them, they try to provide information in ecotourism, innovative sciences, and landscaping. The concept for Night Valley was meant to incorporate the world's oceans and the cosmos. I mean, the theme for Night Valley, it sounded promising. They even stated for the ocean section of the park, they would have an entire attraction devoted to eco-discovery, and the experience would, and I quote, have an immersive virtual storyline where the guests encounter a natural disaster and must save the planet from the Earth's core, great tsunami, hurricane rescue, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure this ride was just a 4D theater. Truth be told, Night Valley, they didn't really have anything when they debuted back in 2010. They did end up getting Wood Coaster, but that didn't open till 2011. The only other attraction was Space Journey, and even that wasn't too impressive. I forgot to emphasize this earlier, but Space Journey, it's not a roller coaster. In fact, it's nothing more than a token carnival ride. What is it exactly? Well, I don't know for 100%, considering there is not a single photo or video of the ride itself. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Since the ride was only open for a month before it went defunct, and how it was completely indoors and in the dark, it meant that no one could really get a good picture. The best image I have is an exterior shot of the entrance. That's it. So if I want to accurately depict Space Journey, I have to go strictly off the park's description alone. And in doing this, the best way I can describe Space Journey is like a centrifuge attraction. Well, at least in premise. For those of you who are unfamiliar, a centrifuge is a large spinning ride where you walk inside a circular room, line up against the wall, then when the room starts spinning, the centrifugal force pins you against the wall. Now, like I said, Space Journey is similar to this in concept. The actual ride system for Space Journey is just modified. Instead of having a massive circular room, Space Journey had 12 individual cars that sat 4 people. It still features a lot of positive G-forces, however, instead of front to back, like you would feel on a centrifuge, they are side to side, or lateral forces. That's just because you're positioned a different way. But other than that, the only difference between this and a centrifuge was how Space Journey was on a 50-foot vertical spike. That's how the ride tried to simulate taking off. Again, comparing that to a centrifuge, those rides are usually leveled, or in some other variants, they will try to move the room into a near vertical position, but after that, that's really all you can say about the ride system. Space Journey, it wasn't too complicated. So what exactly happened that caused 6 people to die? Well, do you see the arm that connects the ride vehicle to the center axis? On the surface, there is nothing to question. It holds the car in place as it spins. The issue was, the manufacturer, they greatly underestimated its strength. I can't find the exact number, but reportedly each car weighed over 5 tons. I know this may seem like a lot, but for a ride vehicle, it's really not. But apparently it was too much for the arm, especially during centrifugal force, because when the ride is spinning, the actual weight of the car is going to be increased. I'm not sure by how much because the actual speed was never disclosed, and I'm pretty sure it's not hitting any terminal velocity. But just know there is a tipping point, a point to where the arm cannot hold any more weight. Let's say there was a group of 4 who weighed a bit more than the average riders. They alone would cause a lot of wear and tear in the arm since it wasn't too strong to begin with, and during the ride there would be a lot of extra force, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened. On June 29th at 4:49, one of the cars detached and plummeted 39 feet to the ground. And apparently the verdict was, you guessed it, one of the arms wasn't strong enough. The end of the arm was severely damaged, with almost all the bolts on it snapped in half, and the ones that didn't break were reportedly too loose or was not even there to begin with. So when the car detached, all 4 riders inside were gone. I wish that was the end of it, but what happened next was even worse. It's unknown how the car caught fire, seeing how there was no electric components on the ride vehicle. It said it smacked into a control panel, but I can't confirm that. But either way, the building was starting to fill with smoke, and the 44 people that were now 50 feet high were in danger. Fortunately though, the ride somehow descended back to the ground. I don't know how that happened. I'm just concluding that because there is no report from the rescuers that they had to climb 50 feet to evac the people, so I have to assume that somehow made it back to the ground, which I'm still struggling to believe because remember, one of the cars detached. So it's probably sitting on the landing area, meaning when the ride lowers, it's going to be on top of the fallen car. So the guests would still have to be evacuated at around 10 feet. But no matter how they got off, apparently the ride vehicle was also blocking the exit. So everyone had to try and weasel their way out. The firefighters had to try to break in. It was a mess. Not to mention, a lot of people passed out from the smoke, so firefighters literally had to carry dozens of unconscious people out of the building. Reportedly, one person on the ride said this after the event: "I heard a loud bang, then I smelled burning rubber. Next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital. It was a gruesome scene. 2 more people died because of smoke inhalation, and at least 10 more people were hospitalized." Immediately after the accident caught wind, the public was trying to find out who should they blame. Was it poor maintenance on the park's end, or did the manufacturer sell them a shoddy product? Well, according to the park, they actually had Space Journey operational over a year before Night Valley even opened. So are we just saying they had the ride tested and then opened it without testing it again? No, that's not how this works. And if they did find anything wrong with it, that would fall on the manufacturer. However, it does seem like Night Valley, they kind of took responsibility, seeing as how they compensated the victims. Of course, though, they may have only done this because they wanted to avoid a major lawsuit. The city of Shenzhen has a major stake in OCT. They can't afford the resort to go under. But to be honest, I think the manufacturer BJA was to blame, because they're not exactly a well-respected company. Let me just simplify this for you. They are a Chinese knockoff. They find rides manufacturers have already done, and they make a cheaper version of it. If not that, they are a small company, so they can easily fly under the radar, and maybe cut some corners while constructing. Now let me tell you, Space Journey was a one-of-kind ride for them, as in they've never built anything like it before. It was basically a prototype from a knockoff company. Now, did BJA take any responsibility for the accident? Unfortunately, I cannot find an answer. Any article I can find doesn't mention anything of a lawsuit towards the manufacturer. If there was a lawsuit, then it's undisclosed. But seeing as how they are still building rides today, I don't think this event slowed them down. But either way, whether it was Night Valley's fault or BJA's fault, the blood is on somebody's hands, all because of their negligence.